The first man Temujin ever killed was his own brother. Not during war, not for conquest, for survival. The Mongolian steppe was silent that morning. Cold wind moved endlessly through dead grass beneath black skies. No cities, no walls, no laws, only hunger. Temujin's father had already been poisoned. His family had been abandoned by their own tribe. Children survived beside frozen rivers and scattered bones while the steppe slowly erased the weak. Then came the fish, a single stolen fish hanging from the family's supply. Temujin and his older half-brother Bektar argued over who deserved it. There was no father left to mediate, no authority, no protection, only calculation. So Temujin followed Bektar across the hills carrying a bow. Silent footsteps through endless grass, watching, waiting, measuring distance. Then he fired. Long before he commanded armies, Temujin had already learned the central law of survival. Human emotion was negotiable. History remembers Genghis Khan as a conqueror, a destroyer, a storm of horses crossing Eurasia beneath smoke and ash. But the real Genghis Khan operated less like a warrior and more like an architect, designing systems for human obedience. He did not simply conquer nations. He reorganized civilization itself. Entire tribal hierarchies collapsed beneath him like rotten machinery. Ancient aristocratic bloodlines vanished into dust. Families who believed power belonged permanently to birth alone were erased from relevance almost overnight. Because Genghis Khan understood something revolutionary for the 13th century. Loyalty mattered more than ancestry. Efficiency mattered more than tradition. Results mattered more than status. A stable boy could become a commander. A slave could rise into military leadership. A tribal prince could disappear into irrelevance forever. The old steppe aristocracy viewed this as insanity. Genghis viewed it as optimization. So the Mongol Empire evolved into something terrifyingly modern. Not a primitive horde, a machine. Horsemen moved across the plains in synchronized formations, like mechanical parts inside a gigantic living engine. Signals passed instantly through smoke, banners, horns, arrows, and fire. Entire armies could reposition before enemies understood what they were seeing. Every rider knew his place. Every commander knew his function. Every movement served a larger design. Most empires relied on fear. Genghis Khan relied on organization. That distinction changed history, because an army can win battles, a system can win continents. Across the steppe, tribal loyalties slowly disappeared. Ancient rivalries lost their value. Old identities dissolved beneath a new operating code. Mongol. Nothing else mattered. Not ancestry, not bloodline, not noble birth. Only usefulness, only loyalty, only results. Men who had once spent generations fighting each other now rode beneath the same banners. Former enemies became officers. Former rivals became administrators. Former outcasts became generals. The machine consumed everything, and every year it grew larger, faster, more efficient, more difficult to stop. But perhaps the most terrifying weapon was not the cavalry itself. It was information. Genghis Khan became obsessed with speed. Not merely military speed, informational speed. Because battles are won long before armies arrive. Victories begin with knowledge. Who moves first? Who knows first? Who reacts first? So while most rulers focused on castles and walls, Genghis Khan focused on communication. He understood something that would not become obvious to the rest of the world for centuries. Information is power, and whoever controls its movement controls everything. So he constructed the YAM system, a gigantic relay network stretching across Eurasia like veins beneath the surface of the empire. Horse stations positioned across impossible distances. Fresh riders waiting day and night beneath drifting dust and endless skies. Messages traveled across continents with a speed that seemed almost supernatural for the 13th century. Some couriers rode until their bodies began failing. Some wrapped their torsos so tightly they could continue moving through pain. Bells attached to their equipment forced travelers off roads before the riders even appeared on the horizon. Information moved faster than human reaction, and information became the bloodstream of the empire. Then came the cities. Some surrendered immediately. Those cities survived. They became resources, supply hubs, administrative centers, new components inside a larger machine. But if a city resisted, the response became mathematical. Walls disappeared beneath fire and arrows. Smoke consumed entire horizons. Entire populations vanished so completely that neighboring cities surrendered before Mongol armies even arrived. This was not rage, not chaos, not primitive violence. It was engineering. Genghis Khan had transformed terror into infrastructure. Fear traveled ahead of armies. Fear opened gates before battles began. Fear reduced resistance before resistance could organize. The machine no longer needed to prove its power. Its reputation performed the work. And eventually, the empire became so vast that no single man could truly comprehend it. Trade routes stretched across continents. Messages crossed Eurasia. Armies moved between worlds. The system continued expanding beyond the limits of its creator. Years passed. The machine grew. The empire grew. And the man who built it slowly disappeared inside his own creation. When Genghis Khan died in 1227, the greatest land empire in human history was still accelerating. The conqueror disappeared. The machine did not. For generations, his systems continued operating. His roads, his communication networks, his military structures, his administrative logic. The body vanished. The architecture remained. History remembers Genghis Khan as a warrior, but warriors conquer territory. Genghis Khan conquered distance. And by conquering distance, he changed the shape of civilization itself. Fade, silence,